Hello everyone, and welcome to my little video on some Space Engineers quality of life improvements that I think we do need in the game, are not too difficult to implement, and overall I just think would be nice to have. So Keen, if you're listening, would love these in the game, but yeah, feel no pressure to add them. Anyway, we're going to start off with improved voice chat. So currently a lot of people don't actually know voice chat in the game. It's there. It works, but it can be very buggy. Sometimes one player can't hear the other, and it mainly works through antennas only, meaning you have to have like antennas on, and the range is kind of limited. And as well as that, it's not really clear whether or not it works through like laser antennas as well. So I kind of think this system needs to be overhauled in the sense that with antennas you get a dedicated option whether or not you want to send voices through it. I feel like it could be a little tick box just simply added on to the antenna menu. As well as that, allow maybe its transition through laser antennas if it's not in the game already, because the jury's kind of still out on how that kind of works. But as well as that, like, make dedicated, like, tight beam, wide beam kind of comm channels, like in Expanse, or even to the point of literally making a little kind of Skype call thing in-game where the little engineer on the other side, like, pops up, or transmission through helmet cams or that sort of thing. That could be a really cool feature to implement. And overall, the voice chat in the game already, it is pretty good. I just feel it could do with that much more of a little boost so that we can all roleplay our little Star Trek Uhura, open a channel to the enemy fleet. And that sort of thing. I feel it would just make the game a lot more fun. Anyway, so that's number 5. We'll now go on to number 4. Right, so with number 4, improved faction system. Now this has kind of annoyed me in the sense that the faction system in the game is really badly implemented. I'm sorry, Keen, but straight up it is, okay? There's not much in the way of, like, transferring grid ownerships around. If a player leaves a faction, you have to get the admins to do it. There's a whole just mess under here. Like, equally, you have alliances and accept pieces with each other, kind of, but you don't have dedicated alliances or dedicated alliance chat. It's literally declare peace, declare war, and that sort of thing. And I feel like there should be a little more turret customization in what turrets can actually target as well with this, because most of the enemies that I fought against have probably been on the receiving end of this, where they set their turrets to not target neutral grids, and I've just set a ship to being owned by nobody, and then sailing straight up to the enemy fleet, and then just turning all my guns on last second, and everything engages, and also some other shenanigans that I've also done, which I won't go into here. But still, that's the problem, and it kind of needs fixing. A good way to start, I think, would be to look at, like, the ARC system, because there you have a dedicated tribe manager, you have tribe logging as well. Again, I think a big feature that Space Engineers does need is tribe logs, or, like, faction logs, or that sort of thing, so we know who's done what. And literally, you know, created grids, grid has been destroyed, that sort of thing. You'd need to figure out some clever ways of measuring it. But overall, I think that could be a really, really good and interesting system, and we just make the game a lot more fun. So now we're on to number 3. You can get a large grid kind of size block, which is the same on small grid. One like best example is like the bigger conveyor things. Currently, the armored conveyors don't actually work for that, as shown here. Like, it just straight up doesn't work. So my suggestion is that firstly this is fixed, and secondly we get more kind of options regarding this, in the sense there are like some large blocks which I feel like should be you're able to place on small grid just in a kind of medium form, and we just don't really have that. Like, I love the medium connector, like that's kind of great, in the sense it does actually allow like connections, but I feel like more blocks that can kind of help bridge that gap, just more kind of medium style blocks. Okay, now on to number 2. Now this has already been done as a mod. In fact, I'm sure the previous one has probably been done as a mod as well. But I feel like this should just be in the base game. Bigger rotors and connectors with passageways in between. Now, here's the thing. I'm not currently thinking of this for an airlock. My first idea for this was actually tanks, in the sense that you can have a turntable with a gap in the middle so you can actually poke your head up. Because currently the way tanks are built now in the game is literally you can't stick your head into the turret at all, but you can in real life. I feel like a little turntable with a passageway in the middle so that you can actually fly up could be really cool and could be really interesting for making truly massive custom turrets. In the sense you have a giant custom turret and you can literally mount it on a rotor and you can literally fly up into the actual turret bits, take some manual control. That could be quite cool. Equally, I feel like there's just a lot of interesting possibilities you could do for, especially for rotating ships and that sort of thing. Just a rotating kind of airlock would also be a really interesting feature, because of course some of us have found that like it's really difficult to do like a spinning habitation rink and various like other spinning parts of a spaceship. Of course, there is that workaround that Clever Engineering showed off, and there's a link for that down in the description. But either way, I do think we need a more kind of probable kind of fix for this. And again, I feel like it would maybe just improve the quality of life a little bit. Equally, like we need the rotor and like the connector strength, I think, maybe tweaked a bit so we can have larger stuff spin. And that's mainly the kind of problem with this, in the sense that we wouldn't even need maybe we maybe just need a bigger rotor head, maybe just for better proportions. I feel like that'd be just quite simple to do. Number 1, placing blocks on diagonal. This, I think, would actually be brilliant, because you're currently in a position now where you can't actually do this, and even though it looks like you should be able to. So I want to be able to, essentially on a diagonal block, I want to be able to place like an extra block on there and then build off in that kind of way in order to create like better nacelles and just be a little more creative in a way that I build diagonal struts, essentially. Now, obviously you can do it this way, and I feel like that's the route that everyone kind of takes, but still, I feel like doing it the other way would be very interesting and could lead to a lot of interesting and more clever kind of ways to build ships, because of the amount of opportunity that this would give the players to build new and creative stuff. But anyway, that's my take. There are 2 others which I think didn't actually make the list. One of which was making voxel hands a little more user-friendly and giving a little more options there, which I think as well, I don't use voxel hands very much, and I don't think many people do. But they're handy to have in a pinch. So I feel like an upgrade to them would really be welcome. And the other would be better small grid to large grid compatibility, in the sense of making like a better small grid to large grid connector, or like a dedicated one, so you can kind of make escape pods and like small drones and stuff attached to large grid ships a lot better than they currently do. But anyway, the honourable mentions aside, thank you all for watching this video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thank you all, and good night!